Continuing with the second chapter, the I am and the principle of aseity, in this video I want to continue speaking about the implications of being the I am. In the previous video I spoke about this concept coined mystical psychosis, where people tell or say that they feel that they have merged with the all, with the universe, as it is called sometimes. They feel this merging with everything that is. This experience is mainly present through altered states of consciousness, as I said before, through near-death experiences. Now, the second one that I want to talk about is a particular phenomena that is present in most of the cases, and this is not subjective anymore. This is not a particular hallucination from someone. This is a mechanism that occurs in most of the experience with very defined themes, with very defined patterns, leading us into this idea that this is embedded either in our brain or in consciousness, wherever you want to put it. This is a mechanism for death. Before I move forward, I would like to remind you that if you want to join the growing discussion on consciousness and would like to be notified on the latest scientific discoveries and theories surrounding this topic and how they connect to ancient mythologies and philosophies, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll try to upload at least one video per week as I continue with the outline. The second aspect that I want to speak about is that of the live review. I've spoken about this in a different video. I'm gonna probably link it right now, or you can find it below. I spoke about in terms of the judgment, because Jesus mentioned something about a judgment, and I made that relationship with the experiences, which is, it's uncanny. The things he says every idle word you speak will be accounted on the judgment day, something of that nature. But what I conclude is that it's not a judgment, and this is not what people are recalling, but they are indeed recalling a live review. This is something that happens in most of the experiences. Now, this is a very complete hallucination that is encoded in the brain, quote unquote, or there's something else going on, because this happens in most of the situations. Of course, this happens throughout their own themes, with their own mind, with their religious or not religious patterns, etc. But they often relive those memories that I spoke about earlier, and they relive the emotions without any sort of physicality, without being conscious in the way that we understand it. They usually are in a coma, or they have been dead for 5 minutes or something like that. They experience these emotions. How can, you know, the argument against it is that they're still alive, but there's barely brain waves. There's no blood in the brain. They have been dead for 10 minutes, as I said. There's the cases where they have been dead for days, and they experience this cognitive function of having emotions, of creating quote-unquote hallucinations of beings and very detailed emotions, where they often say that it's more real than reality, and they're having these experiences. They also say that there is no time, so they experience everything at once, and it is not specific experiences, it's everything, every single thing, even on transcendental things. And the most amazing thing, and how it connects to this idea of there being pure consciousness and we all being this quote-unquote I am, this part of everything, is that they experience through the eyes of the other person, through the feelings of the other people involved. This is what I spoke about in the other video. This could only happen if we share our consciousness. Like Carl Jung said, that there's a collective subconscious mind. If there's this collective subconscious mind, then this is possible. And only if we share this consciousness, we can truly feel the emotions of the other person throughout our live reviews. Now, this is a very complex hallucination and imagination, or this is a higher reality that we are barely beginning to understand. Now, of course, as part of my main argument in the outline is this idea of linking ancient philosophies to these modern theories. We can see in ancient Egypt and some of the occult themes that we are all mind. Everything is mental. We are part of the same mind. And this idea in Hinduism that there's this quote-unquote Maya, which is a bill of reality not being real. It's just an illusion. So this begs the question, what are we? Are we the physical bodies experiencing and the brains creating these things, the quote-unquote brains, or are we consciousness experiencing through the senses and through the brains, using the bodies, using our quote-unquote reality, our world, as a tool to have experiences? Now, this is what I meant about talking about the implications of the principle of aseity, of us being the I am. This is it. Our bodies are avatars for this, as I call it, pure consciousness to experience itself through whatever we want. This is why Jesus said, you pray to the Father. Whatever you want, whatever you need, you ask to the Father, quote, in prayer. And it'll be added onto you if you believe that it's already happened. So this is the implication. The implication of the principle of aseity, the implication of us being part of this principle of aseity, of this larger consciousness as individual consciousness, is that we have the ability to have these experiences. And who are we? Are we the bodies? Are we the brains? Or are we the consciousness experiencing? Now, of course, this starts to get esoteric. This starts to go off the chart of what the evidence can suggest. But when we put the dots together, it's not hard to see what the reality is. This is the implication, that the I am is pure consciousness that takes form as the force behind everything in us and around us. Like the burning bush said to Moses, it is what it is. It is what will cause to be. It manifests itself through us, through the world around us, perhaps through many worlds that we don't know about, perhaps through many levels of consciousness that we are barely beginning to understand. You call about UFOs and aliens and dimensions and whatnot. People talk about these things. I don't have yet any evidence of that. Well, I sort of have some evidence, but I'm not going to go into it right now. But indeed, this seems to be the implication. And when we take these things into consideration, we can think of some of the sayings of Jesus. He saying that the Father is in him, and he is in us, and we are in him, and we are in the Father, and the kingdom is within us and outside of us. We have to go there first. Then it all makes sense. If we are all living this consciousness, and everything is consciousness, and when I say everything, I mean every single bit of information is quote-unquote energy, consciousness. This is why the quantum physicists are realizing that their quote-unquote consciousness, the act of the observer as they call it, can actually have impact in the physical world, in their experiments. Now, this would explain why when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes through the Father except through through me, through the quote-unquote I am, through the act of being. That's how you connect to everything else. And that's in Eastern philosophy, the nirvana, and that seems to be what precedes everything. Either we are looking at a bigger reality that we are beginning to understand and that it is beginning to be researched, or most of the people talking about these things, including Jesus, we are just crazy and we are experiencing this mystical psychosis that the psychologists from the 60s coined. If you're on the path of finding the truth about reality and our purpose as humans on Earth, the information that I have to share concerns you. After a lifetime of research in philosophies ranging from Buddhism to the occult, I've encountered themes and patterns along some baffling information that is beginning to be seriously studied by science. A Rational Divine Outline, The Ghost of Jesus, is the first iteration of this project, where I analyze the message of Jesus without dogmatism, fanaticism, or religious bias. You can find my work available on Amazon on the link below. If you find this work valuable, consider subscribing, sharing, and follow me on social media, as it'll help others in the same path to find this information. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.